Spring is finally here. The weather is warming up, and it's time to pull out the gravel bike and go on a long ride. Crap. A short rainy ride it is. I use my free time to open up my laptop and show you how to choose a gravel bike. While it'll never replace a long, fun ride, and it's not the same as actually building a bike, doing research on what bike to buy can be a lot of fun. There's some great information in this video, so let's get started. If you're new here, my name is Joe. I love bikes and adventures on them. If you're into that, hit the subscribe button. And if by the end of this video you found it helpful or entertaining, click the like button. If you're new to the exploding gravel bike craze, you might think that all gravel bikes are the same. After all, they're bikes that are capable on and off road, so choosing one should be easy because they're all the same, right? Well, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. The first step in choosing a gravel bike is to ask yourself what type of terrain you plan on riding. Well, duh, Joe, gravel. It's not that simple. There are many road surfaces you can ride your gravel bike on, from pavement to single track. And within those parameters, they can be muddy and wet surfaces, to bone dry and sandy, to root and rock filled. The possibilities are nearly endless. As a result, gravel bikes fill the cycling spectrum, from road-oriented to darn near mountain bike-like. Riders take on different terrains, and so the industry provides such wonderful variation. And as I'll touch on later in this video, some riders, like myself, have several different types of gravel bikes to match the terrain and type of riding they will be doing. Do you plan to ride on an even mix of pavement and light gravel roads? Then a gravel bike in the spectrum of road geometry might be for you. How about if you plan to ride roads with more rough terrain, or even some single track? Then a gravel bike with mountain bike geometry might be better for you. I'm all about challenging oneself. Enjoying the fish out of water experience by using the quote, wrong bike on terrain the industry says it's not suited for is acceptable to me. So the rules I just laid out are a bit softer than this. But if you're just starting out and you don't know exactly where you might fall, it might be best to stick with the geometry for the terrain you plan to ride in. Here's where you need to be honest with yourself as well. Determine where your off-road skill level is. Some gravel bikes are long and stable. They can be slow, but confidence building. Others are snappy, quick, and entirely fun to ride, but far less forgiving of any mistakes you might have because of inexperience. Alright, so you know where and how you want to ride. Let's put that in perspective by looking at gravel bike geometry. We can really get caught in the bicycle weeds while talking about geometry, so let's keep this simple. On their websites, for each individual bike, most bike manufacturers have a geometry chart. This is a valuable tool for determining what bike will work for you. There's a ton of great information in these charts, but if you want to keep it simple, look at trail. It's not the only figure that matters, but it's a great indication of the designer's intended use of the bike. The larger the trail, the more stable a bike will feel. In other words, it will be on the spectrum of mountain bike geometry. The smaller the trail, the closer the bike handling will feel to a road bike. A bike with less trail will be more stable at speed with quicker handling. These bikes will feel snappier. Road bikes have a trail in the 55 to 60 range, and mountain bikes are in the 80 to 95 range. Find a bike with trail that matches how you want to ride and the terrain you want to ride in. Some of you that have a deep understanding of bike geometry might say that it's not just about trail, and you'd be right. But for those choosing a gravel bike for the first time, trail is a great place to start. While considering where and how you plan to ride, next you want to pick your components. There are so many options out there that it could be daunting if you don't already know what works for you. Like we did with geometry, let's keep this simple. We'll just stick with drivetrain and tires. Check out the links in the description for videos on other gravel bike components. While 3x drivetrains are still in use today, they are not prevalent, and some bike manufacturers have completely eliminated them from their lineup. I used a 3x setup when I rode the Northern Tier route in 2016. I was mostly on paved roads, and I was riding my Specialized A-Wall, a road bike built for long distance. The setup was perfect for this route. What was important for me was cadence. 3x drivetrains allow you to change gears without large gaps between shifts, thus preserving your cadence. The industry has really moved away from 3xs. In a way, I'm sad to see them go, but they are heavy, clunky, and not at all good for off-road riding. Like a 3x, a 2x setup provides much smaller gaps between shifts and preserving cadence. 2xs also have a great deal of range. You can build a 2x setup to go fast on the flats on pavement and climb the steepest hills. For off-road riding, a 1x setup is great. There are a lot of good reasons mountain bikers use a 1x drivetrain. Most 1x setups have pretty good ranges, but have gaps and shifts that 3xs and 2xs do not. But while riding off-road, cadence is much less of a factor than on the road. A quick bomb down a steep hill with rough terrain, followed by a steep, gnarly climb, is often part of off-road gravel bike riding. 1xs are a better fit for larger and more frequent changes in speed in off-road riding environments like this. 1xs are also simpler. There's less to brake when getting into the rough terrain, and 1xs typically utilize a clutch mechanism. When switched, this increases tension on the derailleur, so the chain stays tight and prevents the pulley from bouncing around and keeps your chain on. Having a clutch can mean the difference between a fun ride or one that will have you walking because you snapped your chain. So in short, a 2x drivetrain might be better if you plan to ride mostly on pavement or a mix of pavement and off-road. For off-road riding, a 1x might be better. The tires you choose can be as personal as the shoes you wear, but there are some parameters that fit within the range of riding environments and riding style. If you're riding mostly on the road, your options for tire size are fairly broad. Any tire from 32 to 45 millimeters will work perfectly on the road. If you're riding an even mix on and off-road, lean towards a wider tire. Off-road, you definitely want a wider tire. Most gravel bikes have clearances for at least 38mm tires on a 700C wheel, and may allow fitments as wide as 50mm. If you find a bike with the geometry and drivetrain that works for you, but doesn't have the clearances for wider tires, consider using a 650B wheel set. You can fit much wider tires with a 650B than a 700C. The next consideration for tires is tread. On the road, you want a tire with less aggressive tread than while riding off-road. The industry is pretty clever and understands that many of us want a tire that will be great both on and off-road. That's a tall order, so there are compromises here. The many tires like the Panaracer Gravel King or the Schwab G1s roll fast on pavement and bite well while riding off-road. The most important step in choosing a gravel bike is test riding one you might be interested in. Yeah, that's more difficult now in the age of COVID, but if you live in an area with a robust cycling community, like I do, there will always be someone willing to let you try out their bike. If you live near the south central Wisconsin area, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let's ride together. Okay, now it's time to throw out something that I cautioned you on earlier. I said that you should be honest with yourself about the type of riding you will be doing. Truthfully, one of the wonderful spices in life is doing something outside your comfort level. So if you're a mountain biker that is hesitant to ride on the road, but has a desire to try it out, don't let that stop you from buying a gravel bike that is more geared towards road riding. Conversely, if you're a roadie that is seeking a challenge off-road with a bit of hesitation, go for the gravel bike that leans towards the off-road side of the spectrum. The worst that can happen is the bike won't be for you and you want to sell it. I've been there. I also have several different types of bikes for different riding conditions. My Specialized A-Wall is a stable, road-based touring bike, but I've swapped out the tires, wheel set, and drivetrain so it's geared more towards off-road riding. The build of my Wolverine that you can see on this channel is an off-road gravel bike that sits in the middle of the spectrum of on and off-road. I'll soon have a Bear Claw Thunderhawk with geometry that leans towards the road spectrum, but has huge clearances for wide tires and several different drivetrain options. Simply, don't let the guidelines of this video convince you that you can't challenge yourself by riding something new. There are more fine details in everything I described here, and as you ride more gravel, you learn what works for you and what doesn't. What did I miss in this video that you feel is important for choosing a gravel bike? Let me know in the comments below.